Are you all about the energy, the fear of missing out? Maybe you don't want to miss out on something happening over here, but how are you going to get over to this one because you're going to miss out over here? In today's episode, we are going to talk all about type 7s, what they look like, what their challenges are, what their strengths are, and how we can utilize that to funnel it all in, focus it all in, and help you level up your game. Welcome to the EnneaReal Podcast. Women, moms, real estate, and the Enneagram. I'm your host, Melody Wilson, a certified Enneagram and real estate coach. If you're a high-achieving realtor mom looking to find balance and unlock your full potential, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we explore the intersection of women, real estate, and the Enneagram. Join me as I provide Enneagram insights and practical tools tailored specifically for women in the real estate industry. Together, we'll uncover strategies to navigate the unique challenges and opportunities and find harmony in all areas of your life. So, we have been, if you have been following our journey, going through different types of Enneagram types. If you are a little OCD, you're probably going crazy because I'm jumping all over the place in terms of the types. I'm not going from 1 to 9. I'm jumping around, so you have to stay tuned for the next episode if you want to find out the next one we're talking about. In today's podcast, we're talking about type 7s. And we have been going through the resource that I got from the Enneagram University that I got certified through. We're going through the core qualities and kind of describing what each type looks like. So as you kind of listen along and listen to the journey, you can kind of maybe identify yourself with some of the traits, learn more about the Enneagram because it is quite a large tool. And as we go through the different types, I'm also going to talk to you about how you can use this in your real estate business, specifically YouTube. So as we continue on the journey, once we finish all the overview of the 9 types, I will be continuing to dive deeper into each type, each triad, which are groupings in terms of how the Enneagram works. So if you're needing to know kind of a brief overview of what the Enneagram is, I would highly recommend that you listen to the first episode to kind of give you that brief overview. So in today's episode, we're talking about type 7. Now, type 7s are so much fun. And yes, fun is a big label. They are usually a lot of fun. They have a lot of energy. And some of the key traits of an Enneagram when it comes to core qualities is they desire to be fully content. And their biggest core fear is being deprived, trapped in emotional pain, and being bored. So when you're an agent, we see a lot of agents who are type 7s. This job works well for that because of the fact that they are able to, the job changes all the time. Not every day is the same. So it kind of fosters that I don't want to be bored because you're definitely not bored as an agent ever, right? You also want to take a look at what their core weakness is. Now, it says here gluttony, to overcome internal longing and emptiness, and they pursue constant stimulation. What does that mean? It means that people who are type 7s tend to just want all of the things and then never feel satisfied because they think that the grass is always greener on the other side. When they get over there, they think there must be something else that they're missing. Maybe over there is better than over here. And so that is a weakness that we've got to be mindful of as type 7s. The core message you need to hear is that the contentment you seek is already within you. And that's a big, big thing to kind of work on. And as we continue to describe type 7s, as you continue to learn about the different types, and if this is you and what 7s look like in stress and in growth, all those types of things, you'll be able to work on that core weakness. Now, some of the strengths that 7s have, I'll just read this. They are energetic, fun-loving, spontaneous, entertaining. They're free spirits who bring light and joy into any situation. They bring big dreams with their bold imaginations while also being able to take the smallest lame task and turn it into something engaging and exciting. They have a thirst for adventure and will find any reason to have a celebration. They love sharing their excitement for life with the people they love. So you can tell these are super fun people to be around. If this type 7 is an agent, a real estate agent, your clients love you because you make everything super fun. When you're out showing houses, it's a fun time. When you're selling their house, it's a fun time. It's always fun. Getting the house ready for sale is mundane, but you somehow make it fun too. Even looking at houses and going through comparables, everything's always fun. And I think that's a really good trait as a realtor to have, because you need really good people skills as you grow in this real estate business. That's how you get referrals. People enjoy it. Now, you want to have some core substance to you and not just be all about the fun, because they do need to take you seriously as you are trying to get that $1 million listing. It's not always just about the fun. They want to see the substance behind your experience, your knowledge, and there are ways to convey this even as a type 7. Now, the struggles that you may face as an Enneagram 7, because you have no limits on your just thirst for life, it can end up being very exhausting. You can't seem to find what you're looking for. They like to have a lot of variety and try new things, which is not always bad. However, it can also feel scattered, overwhelming, stressful, chaotic, and hard to keep up with. There are a lot of people that can't keep up with that type of energy. So, though you have great visionary abilities, executing the tasks necessary to bring the dream to life can be a struggle. They can sometimes feel confined, dragged down, and resentful of others who are less energetic and less optimistic, which is also difficult. So you can see as a type 7, an assistant is key to helping this agent be the best they can be, because they've got all these dreams and all these visions. You need someone who's able to implement your ideas. I can relate because I actually have a 7 wing. Now, in other episodes, I've told you I am a type 8, but 8s can have a tendency to go either towards a 9 or a 7 as a wing. And we'll talk about the wings in a minute. So that's why I can relate, because I have a lot of ideas, so many ideas. But I also know that in order for me to implement the things, I need the support behind me. So it's important that you have that. As a 7, you need to be careful and mindful and not resentful of people who have less energy, because not everyone has that much energy. And the person that's going to help you implement is definitely probably not going to have the same energy level as you. However, you need to be so super thankful for them, because they're the ones that are going to go piece by piece, step by step, and implement what they need in order to see your vision come to fruition, which you will then ultimately be super excited about. Sometimes you may see their practicality and logicalness as less optimistic, but they're just trying to see things through. So it's also, again, really important as a 7 to just look at the frame before you start making judgments about if people are less energetic or whatnot. Now, let's take a look at some other things. So the wings I just talked to you about, they can be either a 6 or an 8, because the fact that, again, an Enneagram is a circle with the number 1 to 9 in a circle, and the 6 and the 8 are beside the 7. So the 7 wing 6 takes on the traits of the type 6, the entertainer. They are more conscientious, loyal, responsible, outgoing, relationship oriented, playful, charming, and enduring when things are difficult. These ones tend to be a little bit more introverted as well. The type 8, 7 wing 8, is the realist. So they are more free, passionate, adventurous, competitive, strongly assertive, but they do seek intensity. They're leaders and quick minded. So they tend to start a lot and finish a little. I think a lot of realtors can relate to this. And that's why it's so important to really understand if this is really you. And if it is, hey, how are we going to help ourselves and others around us in terms of how we are wired? We talked about in other episodes about the triads in terms of your centers of intelligence. Where is it that you make that decision? Are you a gut person? Are you a heart feelings person? Or are you a head person? This type 7 is actually in the head center. So they tend to engage in life through their minds, and their mind knows before their hearts or their guts. So their common focus is strategies and belief. Their emotional struggle is fear and anxiety, and their desire is safety and security, but they have issues with insecurity and trust. So you can see type 7s are very motivated by people, they're energized, but they do tend to use a forward thinking mindset, which is actually really good for goal setting, right? You have the future in mind. You can be motivated by what you can see in the future. Again, if you have somebody who's helping you implement, this is great. If you are a team lead as a type 7, having a team, you got to make sure you follow through with your team or hire someone who's going to do the follow through because you don't want to let them down that way. Because you are a visionary and a brainstormer and a multitasker, just make sure that you have someone actually implementing all your dreams, because dreams without any action is just a dream and not actually a vision. So, because we know that you often struggle to follow through and completing all the details, make sure you've got the people surrounding you to help you do that. Sometimes it's really hard to think, well, I'll just change that about myself. I'll just make sure that I implement. But when you're hardwired to be the dreamer, that's totally okay. We need the dreamers, but then we also need the people that help us with implementing the dreams. And this is something I've learned year over year in terms of needing to have that support system to help you implement your dreams. And it's very life-giving to be able to see your dreams come to life versus just dreaming them up and then they just go to the wayside. So, because you're multitasking and multi gifted, you can struggle to settle on one specific area of how to invest your time. So, you wind up doing lots of things or having lots of jobs, but not necessarily ones that feel truly your purpose. So, another sign of a 7 in real estate is maybe a 7 who has their hands in a lot of different things, not just in real estate. Maybe they've got a side hustle and another side hustle and another one. And type 7s need to focus. I highly recommend you stay in your lane and you can do the multitasking within, because real estate has so many different facets. There's so many different ways that you can have your variety, i.e., your clients. You can work with different types of buyers, different kinds of sellers. You can work with different kind of lead sources, all those things in order to help you grow and work on the fact that you thrive really well in multitasking. So, for example, we are talking about YouTube in the last few sessions and how can a type 7's enthusiasm and energy help with YouTube strategy? Well, I'll tell you one of them. One of the strategies that you can use that you need is the batch recording. It is very exhausting to film and record and put out consistency, especially as a 7. You're like, oh, this is fun. And now it's not so fun anymore. I don't want to do it. Channel your inner energy that you know you have to plug out and film 2, 3, 4 videos at once, and then give that to your assistant, your editor, to let them finish that monotonous task out of the way. So let them edit, let them put the thumbnail together, let them do the description. If you don't know how to train them, make sure you give them training, whether it's a course that you pay for, and get them to take it. But this is a way that you can use your energy, because then you can take that energy and not use it to suck the life out of you and things you don't like. You can put it into meeting someone else for coffee, and you can take clients out to show houses, the things that are the highest and best use of your time. So, strategies for channeling your enthusiasm is to find things that only you can or should be doing. I know you can do paperwork, but let's be honest, you don't want to do the paperwork. That is not fun for you. It's probably very unfun and sucks the life out of you, and you keep procrastinating on it until a point where you're waiting to get paid and oh wait, you haven't put the paperwork in. So that's one way to channel your enthusiasm. The other way you can channel your enthusiasm is put it and project it onto camera. Because the more energetic you are, you need to be actually really energetic on the camera so that when people meet you, maybe you're not as crazy or energetic and maybe you want to be, but it portrays life on the video. Nobody wants to watch a video of someone just la la la. I mean, maybe they do, and that's who they're going to attract, but like attracts like. And on YouTube, it is great when it comes to that because you are able to utilize and attract the people you want to attract. You want to have fun. So you want to attract the clients that will also want to have fun. So I think it's really important to just understand yourself and understand the tasks that you like and don't like doing. And when it comes to the YouTube strategy, it is so handy because you need to portray it on screen. You need it to make the videos, and maybe you don't have the energy to think of all of the ideas, but guess what? ChatGPT is so helpful when it comes to content generation. So once you figured out your niche, Then let's figure out with ChatGPT what content, and they can even write out the script for you, and you can have the bullet points, and you can just get on the camera and start talking. And because you're really gifted at talking, there is no lack of words for you because you're such a good person at talking, filling the conversation. Just imagine you speaking to a friend. It's going to be super simple. So I think that's a really good strategy for you to use. And it's also important that you balance and sustain for long-term success because we start off really quick, and then if it gets boring, you kind of stop. So it's important that we don't go, I'm going to plug out 30 videos in one go. It's not realistic. Give yourself some grace. Make sure to balance. And sevens do have that capability. I'm going to go back to some of the key traits of a type 7, which are the arrows. So if you don't remember, the arrows are basically what number you move to when you're growing, so the healthy traits of that number, and when you're in stress, what unhealthy traits of that number do you take on? And these are important because when you are in stress, you can use those symptoms as a sign to make you understand you're in stress. You need to do something to get yourself out of that stress mode and out of continuing to like spiral downwards. Also, really equally as important is when you see yourself in growth mode. Hey, this is awesome when you start to see those signs because you're in a healthy space. You're in a very self aware space. And so, the more self aware you become, the easier it is to level up and do all the things that you want to accomplish, even with your energy type. So a type 7 moves to the healthy traits of a 5 when they're in growth. So they have comfort with solitude and silence. They don't have to always go out. They seek wisdom. So they're not just making these decisions on their own, thinking they know everything. They actually take the time to seek wisdom. Less becomes more. And they're comfortable with sitting with their uncomfortable feelings, which is a huge one because sevens just really hate negativity, negative thoughts, negative anything. They just usually want to subside. But when you're growing, you finally realize you can just sit there and process those uncomfortable feelings. And they become more thoughtful versus impulsive, which a 7 is quite impulsive. And I know a lot of realtors who are impulsive, myself included. Sometimes that's what makes us really good at our jobs because we think quick on our feet and it's necessary. But when it comes to other things, being thoughtful is actually quite important. Now, when you're moving to stress, and you have to understand and give yourself some grace, we work in a very stressful industry. And so a lot of times you will find yourself in stress. So what are the things, and we'll talk about that just after I read through this. What are some things that we can do to pull ourselves as sevens out of stress? So when you're under stress, you're going to go towards the negative traits of a type 1. So the unhealthy types. They're unhealthy traits. So critical and judgmental, you become controlling, you could become perfectionist. So everything has to be so. And you start to actually become pessimistic, which is very unlike a type 7 because type 7s are usually so optimistic and so positive. And they also become very blamey. So if you start to see yourself being pessimistic, thinking negative thoughts, that's a good sign for you to go, whoa, wait a minute. How did I get here? What is going on? And what do I need? So, this is going to take some time for you to sort out what you need to pull yourself out of this stress. Maybe you just need that time to reflect. So, sevens, we probably go, go, go all the time. You don't have time to sit. And when you do sit, you want to do some more. You want to multitask. So it's so important when, even before you're stressed, to take those regular timeouts, those regular morning routines where you have the time to just be quiet, like you are when you're in growth, you're okay with that quietness. So if you start to find yourself not okay with the quietness in the morning, or you slip into oh, I'm just going to start working, make sure you take a look at that and just find things. Maybe it's reflecting in a journal. Maybe it is going for a walk outside. Maybe it is unplugging and not being connected on the phone. I'd highly recommend that first thing and last thing in the evening. Those types of things, you'd be surprised. It seems very little, but it can move you out of stress. And there are so many other ways that you can move out of stress. And we'll continue to go through those types of things as we go through this Enneagram journey. But it's really important that we take a look at those different traits of a 7 because, it's important to understand your pros and cons, but it's also important not to just give yourself a guilt trip or just avoid things. It's important for you to actually implement the things that you're learning. Now, because 7s seek pleasure, optimism, and versatility, this is how your relationship can thrive. When you can laugh and have fun with your people, when others respect their need for spontaneity and freedom, when others are safe for their negative feelings. So this is really, like, if you can't see it already, realtors and their people around them, the people around them that are closest to them need to be flexible because, for example, we don't know what our schedule looks like today. We literally don't know because it could change as soon as someone phones us or texts us or emails us, right? Even with boundaries, as a realtor, we are always available. And so the people around us need to understand that and they need to respect that. And that is, as much as it's spontaneity, it's also kind of crazy if you think about it. And it's important for you as an agent to understand the struggles that you would have as a type 7. So here's some other things that you may struggle with at work. You don't like to be told what to do, and you'll resent a controlling or demanding supervisor. So if you are on a team, careful, because depending on how your team lead is wired and if they're under stress, or even if they're not under stress and that's just how they are, make sure you identify that, right? How are you going to deal with this and make sure the relationship works well? You're also going to struggle to implement or execute your big ideas once it feels too boring or it's no longer exciting. So we talked about this earlier. How are we going to sustain that long term? Before it gets boring, maybe at the very beginning, think, okay, this is what I'm super excited about. What am I going to do to make sure that this continues to keep happening even when I get bored, right? You want to be proactive about it because while you're still excited about it, you'll be able to put the plans in place to make sure that you're not going to just stop right in the middle. You may refuse or struggle to complete tasks that don't feel exciting or energizing, which is going to be your paperwork. Let's be honest. Paperwork is boring. And so you might want to figure that one out real quick because you want to get paid and you've got to get paperwork done to get paid. And there's so many important things to getting that admin structure put into place. I think the sooner you acknowledge and accept the fact that you don't like it, it's okay. And you find either an assistant, a virtual assistant, or a service that allows you to take care of that, it's going to free you up. There's no need to be good at everything. It's not necessary. You're going to have way more fun doing all the other things than to do things that you don't like. You can't make things that you don't find fun into fun. Your rose-colored glasses can sometimes fog your ability to see risks or potential problems. So this is important that you surround yourself with people that you trust, that can help you, and that you will allow yourself to be vulnerable because they're going to come at you and you might shut them down naturally because you think, oh, it's not positive. I don't want to listen. But you got to do some self-reflection to make sure you seek that out. But guess what? You have so many strengths, right? As a type 7, you're incredible at casting vision and kicking off initiatives. You're great at meeting with people on a buyer consult, getting them excited about buying their next house, even selling their home, because you naturally bring motivation, optimism, and enthusiasm to your clients, to your teams, to your assistant. You help bring energy, and that is actually really, really important and necessary. And you can turn the problems into opportunities, which is really huge as an asset for a realtor too, because, right, we do face problems all the time. So then if you're able to stay focused and solution minded, what can you do? So let's go back to the YouTube for a second here. If you're building a YouTube strategy, here are the key things that you need. And from myself talking today about what a type 7 looks like, identify how are you going to identify your niche. Who are you going to have the most fun with? Who gives you life? Think of that person. Think about what kind of person that is. Are they buying a house? Are they selling a house? What do you have more fun doing, buying or selling? Pick based on that. You know that things that give you life, you're really good at that. So let's just zone in on that, figure out your niche. Then, when you figure out a plan, you may want to bring someone alongside with you to help you implement this plan because it's going to be a long journey to build up your YouTube audience. It's going to take some time and some patience and some monotony. So find somebody that can help and work well with you. In future episodes, we're going to talk about how each number goes well with other numbers, and that's going to be in the future series. But right now, with type sevens, we're just talking about sevens. So as you listen to the different types, you can see, well, if I move towards a healthy traits of a 5 when I'm in growth, maybe I should see if a 5 would want to help me out, right? Because maybe somebody who has that type who's more logical, you guys are both actually in the head triad. So you both relate to making decisions from the head. That actually might be a really good fit, or maybe a 6. But now don't forget, there's also complementary types being from other mindsets as well too. So just try to think of what is the most important to you when it comes to, supporting you when you are trying to create your YouTube channel. What are the important things that you need? What are you things you don't like? Maybe I know there's some really creative type sevens out there and you love the video editing side because you can edit and make it really creative. Okay. But maybe the planning and the implementation of the thumbnails and the description isn't really your cup of tea. So maybe figure out ChatGPT, and maybe you figure out an assistant later when you have the ability to have one. Those are some of my recommendations in terms of working with your strengths. Type sevens, you gotta love ChatGPT. It's so much fun. You literally can just ask ChatGPT for anything and it's going to help you out. It's quite nice. So, as a type 7, you have a positive outlook, but you do defend against pain, right? So, you're going to do everything in your power to avoid pain. I mean, let's be honest, nobody wants to be in pain. However, type 7s always say, there may be a problem, but I'm fine. Can you hear Ross's voice? I'm fine. No, really, I'm fine. I think sometimes that is what we do as a type 7 when you are, dealing with a problem, or maybe they're denying they even have a problem. So it's important that a 7 does identify the problem so that they can turn it around versus just being in denial, because that's not really the greatest. Now, the 7s idealize possibilities and opportunities. Yet, really, reality is never as satisfying as their imaginations. That one thing that brings me to mind is Peter Pan and his just that world, right? Like we never actually, when you read a book and you watch the movie, it's never the same. It's kind of like that idea. So I want to leave you with some things and areas that you can grow in the Enneagram University guide that I'm going through. I'm just going to read a few things and talk to you about and give my tidbits on how it's going to work for real estate. So, one of the things I think you need to learn is understand that you're wired to think that you can fill internal feelings of emptiness with external stimuli, but it doesn't actually make it true. So, just because you feel that way doesn't mean it is true. It doesn't mean you're stuck to it. Let others into their hard feelings. So let other people into your hard feelings. You don't want to just be known as a fun friend, but you want to be real as well, right? You want to make sure that you're relatable, because someone who's always having fun and always optimistic, sometimes it's a lot. And so just understand that. But also know that you're appreciated for your positivity. One of the things I think we've talked about quite a bit is schedule in calming activities. So learning to be present without always moving is really important to keep yourself in growth and move yourself back into growth. And I think that's really some of the main things I want you to take away. Make sure that you are also practicing gratitude in those times. When you are thankful for the things you have, you're not going to always be looking external. It's really important for you to do that. And I know there's gonna be things I miss. We have so many things about a type 7 we could talk about. I would like you to comment below what are the things you like most about type 7s, and I will talk to you in the next episode. any questions or specific topics you'd like us to cover, please reach out to us on our website or social media channels, melodywilson.ca. Together, let's unlock the potential within you and thrive in both your real estate career and motherhood.